To connect with God, we must tune into His voice. We have to open our hearts. A very simple technique of listening begins this process. However, you must open more than just your ears. For example, you can't tune a guitar just by listening to the sound of a particular note. You also have to listen to the sound of the string being tuned to match the tones. You have to look to see if the right string is being tuned to the right note, or you could break it. Once it's in sync, you can go to the next string. God's voice is always in tune. So why not tune into His voice? Just imagine for a second a piano with all those keys, and several of them out of tune. This is what our hearts sound like to God when they are closed. We are out of tune. When we open our hearts, the tuning process begins. Start by noticing which notes or areas of your life need to be brought up or down to meet God's tuning standard, which is God's unending love, God's unconditional love, God's everlasting love. If we are thinking too highly of ourselves, we need to come down a little off the pedestal we're sitting on. We might want to tone it down a little and tune it up a little. If we are too low on the tuning scale, we are probably distracted, uncertain, negative, vindictive, critical, or discouragingly needy. So how exactly can we get in tune with God? To bring ourselves in tune with God, we need to know how to tune. Getting in tune with God requires paying attention to all the aspects of our lives, not just some of them. We can't just tune part of the guitar or some of the keys on the piano. We need to tune everything so that when the instrument is played, it sounds correct. It sounds great. It feels great when we hear it. The sound moves us. It is the same with our lives. When we are in tune with God, He moves us. Tuning ourselves into God is a continual process. Our physical bodies, our minds, and our spirits can't continue day after day after day without getting a tune-up. It is not possible. Opening our hearts to God's truth, God's unending love, helps us listen with our eyes and ears. When we hear and see what the world is attracting to us, it affects each of these areas. When we tune into God, we see and hear each aspect of these areas and what needs healing, what needs tuning up. Then and only then, through listening and seeing, will the healing and tuning process begin. Healing is tuning into God. Often, healing is looked at as only a physical aspect. For example, someone gets a cut, and it needs to heal. True healing is the discipline to recognize and differentiate between knowing something is wrong and actually doing something about it. If your car is low on gas and you choose to do nothing, eventually it will stop. How do you open your heart and know you are getting in tune with God? Glorify God's holy name. Pray and watch for God. Listen for God. Commune with God. The Lord's message will be loud and clear. The everlasting feelings of love, reassurance, and encouragement will guide us safely and directly into unconditional love. Everlasting love. When we tune into God, we tune into forgiveness.
Maombi,